Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We've got Lucinda here again today. Let's dive straight in.
Yeah.
Can you describe how you set up equipment at a concert? So anything you do that's slightly different to anyone else. So Dom talked a lot about how he set up his desk show files. Connor talked about how he gets like the subs and the amps plugged in first, and then he goes and works on control, and then he works on the stage. So anything you do in particular that's different to anyone
Okay.
else?
I mean, I've kind of got a set, relatively speaking, way of working.
Yeah.
I don't tend to. So, say for instance, I'm working on stage.
Yeah.
I don't tend to. The first thing I'll do is turn the desk on if the desk is already on stage. Sometimes it's not on stage. So again, this is for monitors. It might not be, at front of house, especially in functional venues. Different front of house engineers have different desks. We have an amount of house desks, which may or may not be kept out or moved depending on what the gig was the night before or the day after. So sometimes you have to set up your own area. The first thing that I do is make sure either I've got a desk at front of house and that's plugged in, or I've got a desk on monitors and that's plugged in. Next up is...
And those are normally on copper as well for you, aren't they?
On what, sorry?
They're normally on copper for you in that venue because you change the desk and you change the protocol quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like protocol definitely changes per option. But we've got Cat5 runs, we've got analog runs.
Yeah.
So we use the splits, but it just depends what format it needs to take in order to work out how we're going to run everything. So so desks in, plugged in, and turned on for me if I know that I need to be on monitors. Plugging in for stage though, I'll run power out. But I won't necessarily
patch mics and stuff until instruments are there.
Yeah, so I don't like mics are difficult to be a part of when you don't quite have a band or at least someone to check stuff through with
firsthand. I'm very much I'll throw everything in and then just like if I've got tom mics and stuff I'll just throw them back on the sub box and throw them out of the way. But I've worked with you on outdoor gigs and stuff, and you're like, well, there's no point putting the drum mics in until there's a drummer here to know if he's left-handed. Take like 10 minutes extra.
Yeah. Like you can put stuff like on stands.
Yeah.
Like the mics on stands, and I mean you can kind of run cables in, but unless you know that it's a set kit that's coming, or unless you know particularly exactly what's going to happen, you can't really prep too much. Like you can get power out, yes, you can get mics on stands, yes, you can run looms out if you need to, but at the same time you don't necessarily like it might have a bass DI, so people automatically will run that either left or right of the drum kit.
I always put it near the hi-hat.
Well, personal preference. It might be a DI that isn't coming from an amp, so it might actually be at front of stage.
Exactly.
So literally even if you set patch up and you've done that, like you might not actually have it there, so then you're chasing your tail to try and catch up, unless it's a festival patch different. And festival patch, luckily a lot of engineers will kind of go, even if they come into a venue and they'll be like, right, well, we missed sound check, we'll just go with your patch, or we'll kind of work out a channel list according to what each band needs and then go, right, well, this is going to be here and here, is that cool? And then we can just do layers or custom layer whatever they need, but the patch then isn't particularly different one end or the other. It's when people start coming in and go, no, I need it here, and refuse to soft or repatch anything, that then you end up with a nightmare on stage. But if I don't see any problem with one-to-one. I'm a big fan of one-to-one patching.
Same.
Unless you need to do it, and sometimes you do, sometimes you need, like you might need to use channel 27 and it might be one, if one on an input or one on a tail isn't working or something, you are going to need to use one that does work. But other than that, I'm not a fan of going, right, we'll just use this as 1 to 8, this is this to this, and this is, and then you end up like with different looms going here, there, and it's not one-to-one for me is fine. And then you can always follow where you're at.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I don't have anything specific that I do or don't do.
Sure.
One thing that I do particularly do, I prefer a listen wedge. I like mixing on a listen wedge as opposed to headphones. This is sort of, it's not linked to IEMs or wedges, but it sort of is. But I just like, especially if the band are on wedges, I need to hear
what they hear.
Exactly how they're hearing it. So I do like listen wedge. So listen wedge will be the first thing that I get in, and then monitors out. So it will literally, my course of action is make sure I've got a desk, turn it on.
Yeah.
Look, see if I need monitors, get the monitors out, maybe put them in a position, and label monitor cables, but I won't run the cable out until I know where they're going, because you might not need, you might run 5 to the front, but it might need to be stage right instead. So, until you know the band are there, you can't really do too much, unless, again, it's a festival patch, in which case I've got a default. I do exactly X, Y, Z, 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 because that's the best way of working, and it's always 1-to-1. It's always monitors stage right to stage left, irrespective of me being on stage right or stage left. It doesn't matter. It's always stage right is 1, and then respectively whatever runs, and then kit will always be normally it's 7 and 8, as in like a top sub. The last couple, but it'll always be those last 2, and the sub will always be the one on the end. So it's like all of the top sub, essentially. So all of the ones that match will be the same and in line, and then the sub will be on an extra one somewhere.
Super logical.
It is. I'm just a fan, but I learned on analog as well. So because I kind of was that hybrid between digital coming in and analog ending. Just hasn't really ended, but you know what I mean. So I see the logic in analog, and I really enjoy analog systems. It's just how my brain works as well. It's logical for me to do it that way, as opposed to doing everything within a computer and then just kind of trying to follow a trail that isn't there. So
that's great.
I don't do anything particularly special. Well, thank you. Okay.
That was good.
Cool.
Do you want to describe a time when you had to work with a difficult client, and how did that go? What did you learn?
It was the client that we misunderstood the brief for. That was pretty difficult. No, I've had slightly more difficult artists, or not, or otherwise, or more difficult clients. But at the end of the day, how I see things is, I am there as someone who is trying to translate an image or a vision into a reality. So that a particular person who is involved may not know how to do something. They might know what they want or how to do it. If they know how to do it, brilliant. If they don't know how to do it, they might be getting stressed because someone's just like, well, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that. I kind of tend to approach everyone on the same level. So I don't talk particularly technically, but at the same time, I don't talk like they're stupid for not knowing things. Because by my reasoning, I'm the one there who kind of knows how to get what they want, but I just need sort of to work out how they hear things in order to work out how they want it. So there is one particular person / company who I have worked for before, who they're very specific, and they kind of do know what they want, but it's one of those situations where almost having some knowledge is worse than having no knowledge or a lot of knowledge, because they know enough to be specific, but it's not specific enough. Because so then they'll just repeat the same sort of thing, like, oh, I just need this, or I want it like this. But also, it's this line as well between overproduction and live production. So there's a very particular way things will sound and can sound within a studio setting. Trying to translate an exact studio, like, I really like live gigs because they are different. They sound different. Like the body is the same and the music's the same as the record, but I like people jazzing stuff up a little bit or being,
that's the best part, isn't it?
A certain, yeah. If someone's vibing, if something goes on slightly longer, I'm not talking about 15-minute guitar solos, but if someone's kind of unless that's the song, if that's the song, that's the song and that's cool. But if someone's vibing or they're doing like an outro and it just kind of, the feeling is there, like that's what you want from a live gig. So, that's what I want to give to the audience. So someone who has some knowledge but from a studio cannot as readily produce that in a live setting.
Sure.
But some people do like to think that they can without realizing that it is different. It is similar and it is transferable, but it is not the same. The principles are the same, but the functionality is different. The mics are different. The variables that you're going to get are absolutely different. You can't control anything.
In the studio, an artist is sat there, chilled for however many days before, and then they do a couple of vocal takes, and then they kind of go away and it's all edited down. Whereas on a live tour, you're sat in the back of a tour bus traveling around the UK, stopping at McDonald's, getting very little sleep, and they expect you to give it exactly the same performances in the studio. I find it quite hilarious sometimes, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's funny, but then it's at the same time. So it can be difficult to try and explain to someone that there are those variables, those contingencies that you need to put in place. Like, I will always try and help an artist. If someone says to me, I'm my voice has gone a little bit, or, this is day 16 on the road, I'll say, I'll do everything I can to help you out. I'll do what I can my end to give you a bit more level so you don't have to push so hard. Little things like that, like difficult. I don't really get too many difficult clients because hopefully from the off, I try and show them that I'm on their side and that I am going to be there no matter what happens.
Yeah.
So if something's great, I'm going to be there. If something happens, like a mic stops working or a cable's crackly or whatever, I'm going to be there. I'm going to fix it, and I will do everything in my power.
To do, so,
exactly. I'm there because I want to be there, and I'm there because I want to help. So I don't tend to get difficult clients when it comes to, say, artists. I have had more difficult artists who are more specific with what they want or how they hear things, but again, that's how they hear it. And if it's their creative vision, if it's their artistic content, it's not on me to judge that. It's not, they're not being picky. They know what they want. So if they know what they want, it's almost like great. But it's that middle ground that's a little bit trickier in that if someone knows, like
some of the frequency terms and stuff.
Yeah. So if someone says, oh, it's 1K and it is 1K, I'm like, all right, cool, fair enough. I kind of trust this person just by them saying that and me going, yeah, okay, cool, wicked. But then if something else happens later on where they'll kind of be doing the same thing, you can tell quite early on how efficient they are with what they're saying. Yeah. Or if they're just saying things. So yeah, it's nice, but I'd like to think that the difficult clients do just sometimes they care a bit too much. Which is never a bad thing. Unless the difficult client is, say, a a family member of a person who is on stage.
Yeah. No, you're the girlfriend of the drummer. He's perfectly loud. I want to hear the drums more.
That can be interesting, but they're not a difficult client. They're just a person who's there who is having an opinion.
As long as they're not paying the bill.
Yeah, like the client, working out where the client ends and your creative knowledge begins is a fine line, but and it's something that you have to work out gig by gig and play by play, and it's but it's good fun trying to do it.
100%. Should we move on to favourite consoles, favourite sound desks?
Yeah, let me just spin my sheet of paper. Favourite consoles. To be honest, this is just gonna, at the end of this interview, it's just gonna sound like I'm pretty whatever. I don't really have favourite consoles as such. People slam M7s a lot. I love him.
I love
think
having
they're great.
Every channel on a fader, everything right in front of you there.
If I
for
like
monitors, that's amazing.
There's nothing more I want than to hit a button and see what I've got.
Yeah.
That's everything I want in the world. Like if I'm on monitors, if it's a front of house desk, it's still great because you can still see what it is. But I appreciate, obviously,
footprints and stuff.
You can't, yeah. The footprint, it is big and it's kind of heavy and it's a bit clunky. You can obviously do a lot more now on other desks, sort of processing wise and that kind of thing with effects racks. And so as a front of house desk, I appreciate people who would rather not have an M7. But for a monitor desk, even as a front of house desk, it's not particularly complex front of house desk, but if you just need things to work, it's pre-patched 1-to-1. Your left and right is your left and right. Bam, there you go. There's your show. Brilliant.
Make it happen.
People slam M7s a lot. I have absolutely no problem with M7s.
No.
I do. LS9s are slightly more interesting. But I've not got any beef. It does exactly what it says on the tin.
They're 20 years old now, aren't they?
Exactly. It's one of the oldest desks of its kind.
Still around.
And they still work.
Yeah.
You know, the faders and the pots might come off, but you can put them back on. They're relatively easy to fix. It's not a touring desk by any means, but as a house console, if it's not going anywhere and it's not moving and you just need things to work or you have multiple people using it, and it just needs to be relatively, I can walk up to it and have a decent enough sounding thing. Give me one of them any day.
Awesome.
If it's monitors, I'll have an M7. But
what about with unlimited money? What would you buy?
Well,
personally?
Here we go. I'm really keen on the D-Lives. I really like the D-Lives. They are my friend currently.
Yeah.
And I'm using them a lot more. People are touring with them a lot more, which is nice to see. And the footprint's pretty small. SDs are fine. I've used SDs, monitors, and front of house. I think I do prefer an SD as a monitor desk though.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure why. But again, it's accessibility of faders really, because I can see everything that I've got, banks wise. It's great. Everything, you can assign everything to anything now anyway, but just certain little things, toggle buttons. It's relatively straightforward. Once you kind of have a basic ground of it, you can kind of work out where you're going. So again, for walking up to it and kind of going, right, what do I need? It's relatively quick to kind of get a show going. Those are the ones that I like. If it's a touring thing, I'm really into Pro 2s now. I know I'm kind of late to the game, and I'm still kind of I can use them, but I don't know. I just don't like as a touring desk. I feel like it would work more.
Sure.
Because you can't just walk up to it and have a show.
No.
You just can't.
I've had to do that before, and it was an absolute nightmare gig.
Yeah. It's not, for me, what I want from a desk is kind of like what I was saying before with the difference between sort of me growing up on analog. If I'm growing up on analog, like I want to be able to just kind of go, right, here's my show. So with the pros, once they're set up, they're amazing and they're great and they sound nice and it's a lovely desk.
Yeah.
Once it's up and running, but to try and be like on a festival or something like that and setting up a desk, it's not a desk that I would happily go.
No.
Oh yeah, I'll just jump on it. It's it takes a little bit more. If I had infinite money, I mean, I don't know. I quite like the smaller. What is it? D3500. That's the other D Live.
The C class.
The C class, yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I like that again.
That was literally the desk that Dom said.
Is it?
Yeah.
They're really good. They're really useful. They're super friendly. They're kind of, I say they're durable. I don't know if they're durable yet because I've not toured on one.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of house venues that have got them as a house console. They're really good. They're great. You can use them as both, but in some of the smaller venues, you utilize them as both a front of house and monitor desk. So again, it's durable. It's usability for that is really great. There are some smaller Digico desks as well, which are pretty good.
The S21s and stuff.
Yeah, and it's the S11 that's the little one.
Yes,
that's
the S11. The
tiny,
19 rack mount one.
So they're great. Again, you can kind of walk up to them. I'm not picky. If a desk is durable, it works, and it sounds good, I have no issue with it. Like, and money, to be fair, for me, you can spend as much money in the world and it still not be the best desk, because every desk will do something slightly different that is more suited to you or better for the style that you work with or work in. So we've actually got a Heritage now at
the newest.
The new, the updated new, totally customizable, amazing, epic Heritage desk. It's actually really fun. I've not been on it too much because, as I say, it's we've not had it for too long. But so this is one of the venues that I work at, and it's nice. I'm kind of getting to know it, and as Midas desks go, like don't get me wrong, I like the Pro Series. It's fine. But I think I can get on board with this Heritage more than the Pros, really. Yeah, it's really fun. But it's just all there. It's quite big. It's not a massive footprint. And it is. It looks lovely as well. So if it's a good looking desk, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with me feeling like I look like I'm behind in a spaceship.
Oh yeah, got to be on the Enterprise.
Absolutely, yeah. If you look like you're in a sci-fi film, then that's a plus point for me. But at the same time, the Heritage it does also look really good. It's blue and it's got it's like a wood effect on it as well.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's super customizable, massive big screens, and you can literally assign anything to anything. And it's really nice. I'm a big fan of big EQ, actually seeing what I'm doing. I don't like small screens where your EQ is like here somewhere. I want to see my EQ. Thanks. So yeah, the Heritage is great. So I'm probably going to be a big fan of that.
All right.
Once I feel fully comfortable with it.
I'll have to come in and have a walk around with it.
Do.
As and when you've got your head around it a bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sounds like a good fun little day there. What about your most favourite PA?
Again, I just kind of use what I'm given. I'm not particularly picky. Like, I love, like, Nexo sounds great. Chorus sound great. I'm a big fan of a system that fits a room and fits a purpose. Yep. So you could buy the most expensive PA going and it be horrendous for the room. Yeah. You can throw so much money at things. It's kind of like the desk. You can throw however much money you want at something, but if it's not done properly or if it's not done right or if it's not done to fit the purpose and the reason that you're doing it, then it's just wasted money, whether that be a little amount or a big amount. Yeah. So for me, my favorite PAs tend to be the PAs that people have spent time and love on. Like if someone has spent 2 hours system teching massive stacks of C-series, if it sounds great and it does the purpose, it's great because for this particular event, that's what it needs. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of the stick PAs, like the things that people have got right now. They're kind of becoming a thing. I'm not a massive fan of those. Yeah. I just don't feel like they are
like the Bose little line array things that you kind of like modular, stick one on top of the other.
Mini line arrays.
K-array and everything.
If it's going to be a line array, I feel like it should be a line array. Yeah. Instead of calling something a line array.
And just putting a load of speakers next to each other.
And putting speakers in a row. I just, for me personally, like I have nothing wrong with it.
I've heard them sound good at times and then not good the rest of the time.
Well, this is it as well. Like, again, and it depends who's using it and what it is, but it's not it's not for me. I want to be able to have control of a system, and like we had there's some JBL PAs that I've heard that have been just out of this world. Obviously, Al Acoustics is great. Like the companies that do it, they do it really, really well.
Yeah.
But as I say, I'm not a fan of having, say, a line array system and throwing loads of money at it and then having like half a PA. We want the top of the range, but we need 6 speakers, but we can only afford 5. Well, why? Okay, just does it fit?
The venue that we both work at, that's a bit like that at the moment.
Well, I just dodging the question. It's just I just don't understand if just because you have money, you don't have to throw it at it. But if you have money, talk to the right people, get the right advice, because there are a lot of people who know a lot of this. I'm not a gearhead, really. Is that the right word? I mean, it sounds
metalhead, not gearhead.
I was going to say a different word, but I just decided against it. I'm not really a gearhead, but at the same time, I love people who are, because they know so much more than me, and I will sit and I will listen and I will talk about it for ages, but I'm not that person that will sit and read and research and go through everything. So, so for me, they're the people that I go to go, right, what does this room need? And they're the people that are going to be able to pick the difference between this speaker and this speaker and this speaker. But if the PA has been designed or built to function within a particular area, any venue can sound great with the right treatment or PA or whatever. So my favorite PA, as I say, I love using Nexo stuff. It sounds nice to me. There's turbo sound stuff that sounds nice. It doesn't have to necessarily be top of the line stuff. Like some of the really old school stuff sounds amazing, but it's crazy heavy. So it's not really functional in a touring situation. So, there might be PAs that sound really great, but it just doesn't make any sense to take them anywhere because you can't carry them. Yeah.
I've got best artist or favourite artist that you've worked with next.
I don't really like this question.
We don't have to do it.
No, I just really enjoy working with people. So I don't really have a best artist. Obviously, you could take what I said earlier as being like, oh, that's the best artist I've worked with.
Yeah.
But there's this line as well of the best artist, because the bigger the show, the less contact sometimes I, as an engineer, have with an artist. So the best artists that I've worked with tend to be smaller artists or kind of that mid-range or moving up.
Yeah.
Up and coming artists. Who I love, who are great, who are talented and really, really lovely, genuine as well, which I really rate genuine artists. I just think that if they work to get there, they appreciate it, and that's that's priceless, especially in what we do. And they put their heart on the line every time they step on a stage if they're an artist. So whether that be a musician or a painter, a writer, just even doing stuff like podcasts and stuff, anyone who puts their heart and soul into something is an artist and is doing that creatively and is putting themselves in a vulnerable position and putting their heart on the line. So the best artists I've worked with are the ones who care about what they do. Then they care about everything to do with that, whether it be sound or the people in the audience or the people in the venue. That always matters,
the people who travel around the country with them and stuff.
Absolutely. The people who appreciate what they're doing, what they've got, and who they're with, or just the best artists are the ones who know where they've come from, who and who are okay with being vulnerable, but also they don't let themselves be torn down, because they're in that position because people care and people like what they're doing and people enjoy what they do. And then you're always going to get, trolling and people booing from photos. They just say, well, mate, just if you were on stage, it would be a very different story. So don't worry about it. Just go away. Just stop it. hate judgy people. It's so annoying. But anyway, yeah, best artists I work with are just, there's no specific artists, just people that care about what they do. And in turn, other people care about what they do. So, you know, it's one big happy family. Yeah. Circle of life.
Circle of life. We hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you could like and subscribe and leave us a comment, that'd be amazing. Otherwise, we'll see you again in another video. Cheers, guys.